Saying a white kid looks like a school shooter is just as racist as saying a black kid looks like a thug. We've all heard the joke, someone sees a quiet, nerdy white kid with long hair and they say something like major school shooter vibes or something like that. I have always found this incredibly racist. I think it's the equivalent of saying that a young black kid looks like a thug or gangster, something that I'm certain would offend most of the people on this subreddit. Saying an introverted white kid looks like a shooter is both racist and a form of really nasty bullying, and we should all just stop with it. It's not really something to joke about anyways. I realized after my childhood ended that I have become the school shooter type of guy and that some people in high school and college more than likely saw me this way. It's a bad feeling. Edit, it's why I have this account and username. I tell lots of stories about my sad life and ugliness. I just made a subreddit for them the other day because I get messages from people all the time whenever I talk about my life. /r/thesadredditor. I didn't think this would be this big of an unpopular opinion. Congrats, good luck dealing with the backlash. Is all the popcorn taken already? I appear to be a little late to the screening. This also sounds like a dangerous self-fulfilling prophecy, considering school shooters are often bullying victims who had enough of everyone's shit. I'm Asian American and from my perspective, both sides of racism looks really racist. Can we just say that any type of assumptions about race are bad? LOL. Anyone can be a thug or school shooter. Chill Reddit. Racism is racism. Not only should this be popular, it should be common sense. Everyone in the comments is agreeing with this guy. Doesn't seem very unpopular. Not necessarily answering your question, but I'm seeing a lot of discussion in this thread that I don't think is true. Yes. Everyone can experience racism/be racist. I also think we collectively use the term racism way more instead of more appropriate descriptors like ignorance or prejudice. Some people are ignorant. That Nazi supremacist engaging in hate crimes. He's a racist. As an Asian dude growing up in LA, I've experienced my fair share of prejudice and ignorant comments. I've also been around a few Asian peers who act the same way towards other people of color. It can't be a racist statement if directed towards a white child. I'm being sarcastic, but there are people on Reddit who will keep a straight face and attempt to make this argument. Wow at the amount of comments that disagree with this and are getting upset over the fact that racism exists towards all races. Everybody love everybody. How about that? I go to an all-black college prep school with only 2 other white kids in my grade. A lot of the kids say extremely racist things like that but aren't actually racist. It drives me nuts though. Like one kid said he didn't care if Hispanics said the N-word, just white people can't say it. Which implies that he feels it's more about the wrongdoings of people in the past rather than the struggle African Americans have gone through. Never in my life have I disliked someone for their skin color, but when so many black people are blatantly racist, it's ridiculous. It's starting to turn into a culture that is extremely toxic. You're absolutely right, and I think that opinion is unpopular towards those who are woke. I'm black and I honestly hate seeing racism towards white people. Nothing justifies it. It's still racist. Even worse is that it may be a self-fulfilling prophecy. If a kid gets stereotyped as a school shooter his whole life, then maybe he might just do it. This is so American. I don't think it's racist to say either of these things about someone. It becomes racist when you say one of these things because they are black or white. Funny to finally see an unpopular opinion, although it shouldn't be one. You're not supposed to say that. Even if it's true. This is Reddit. White people are the devil. I wish everyone just stopped being obsessed with race. I don't think it racist, but I think it's vicious bullying. The stereotype, to my knowledge, isn't quiet white nerdy kid, it's just quite nerdy kid. I agree fully that it's a terrible thing to say, and it's some of the worst bullying anyone can take, but I don't think it's racially motivated. I think both are not related to the race of the subject. A black dude can look like a school shooter, and a white dude can look like a thug. I'm not that familiar with the trope, but I imagine the silent kid stereotype doesn't necessarily need to be white, do they? This isn't as much of an unpopular opinion as it is a new perspective I haven't considered before. Have an upvote. I think it's the equivalent of saying that a young black kid looks like a thug or gangster, something that I'm certain would offend most of the people on this subreddit. Yeah, that type of thing never gets said on Reddit. All bullying, racism and sexism is bad. I completely agree, but I'm surprised most people don't agree as well. Being an asshole is bad no matter the context. We should stop all racists' remarks, not just that can be used against you. I wouldn't say it is racist considering it's for a very specific group of white people, but it is nevertheless bad and probably just results in kids being called that actually shooting up schools. I would consider it worse than a black person being called a gangster. Even if it wasn't racist, it's still fucked up. Haha, you look like someone who would murder children. As someone who has had people of other color online and in person say that I look like a school shooter remark, it does get pretty annoying, especially because I'm more reserved. Well yeah, but double standards. Any race-wide negative characteristic of blacks is completely ignored in the US because of years of slavery and racism that has happened in the past. Everybody keeps white people in check, so much so that if a white person said something that could be interpreted as even remotely racist, they'd get bashed online and IRL by people. People are so ready to bash whites for racism that nobody is keeping blacks in check. If a black person was all racist about white people, nobody would give a shit. It would only be seen as funny. Young black kid dresses like a gangster, emulating the onslaught of the stereotype in black culture, gang colors, throws gang signs. He looks like a thug. Young white kid with black trench coat and no friends and a fucked up haircut. He looks like a school shooter. The fuck you want me to do, ignore my own eyes? What's wrong with calling a spade a spade?